maybe a little bit slow this spring, but you seem to have really found your rhythm and some momentum as we head toward the real deal. Do you feel the same way? And if so, what are the things that you've built going forward?
Yeah, I think just making those adjustments in the off season, and then kind of once the games start, I think it's easier to get a little sped up just because you're facing live pitching and live at bats for the first time. So I think just getting more at bats into the spring helped me just become more comfortable with what I've been working on, and so I feel a lot better. I feel like I'm in a good spot heading into the season.
I haven't watched all the games because not all of them are televised, and I've been down here the whole time. But how much action are you still getting in the infield? It seems like you've been playing a lot of outfield. But do you still get a lot of reps in the infield even if it's not in the games?
Yeah, no, I think it's not every day. I think the days that I'm playing in the outfield in the starting lineup, those are days I'm kind of working with the outfielders before the game in practice and everything. If I'm not playing, I'll try to take some ground balls, or obviously if I'm playing infield that day, that's when I'll get a lot of fungos and early work. But not as much as I'm used to kind of throughout the years, but still getting some good work in there.
Great, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Go ahead, Thomas Harding. Thomas, go ahead.
Okay, Garrett, today, a bunt single, couple of steals. There was one wild pitch where you made it clear, at least on radio, it sounded like you made it clear you were going and kind of goaded the pitcher into it. How much more do you push that part of your game this season?
Yeah, I think it starts with stealing first base. I think getting on base is the hardest part, and then from there it's kind of I don't think I've ever changed. So looking forward to getting on base a little more this year and just kind of creating havoc out there.
Do you feel better for that higher in the order, maybe batting behind Tapia? Do you feel like that gives you a better spot and a better opportunity to do those things?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a big deal. At least for me, I think it's you got to play the situation. I think when you're down in the batting order, you got to play. You got to be smart. You know who's hitting behind you. For example, if there's two outs and the pitcher spot is up, you don't want to make an out on the bases. You want to let him swing the bat. Nothing against our hitting pitchers. I think they can swing it a little bit, but you got to play the game smart a little bit down there as far as when you're hitting high in the order, 1-2, you're trying to get in scoring position for the run producers. So I think it's a big difference for sure.
The game has changed a lot over the years. You probably talk to old timers that have seen people steal 100 bases, 75, 80 bases. Can you be that kind of guy? Can you just really cut loose? Because every spring we talk about stealing bases. Then the leader on the team has like 27 or 30, maybe even 30. I mean, can you push it beyond what the modern game is?
Yeah, I think for sure. I think you kind of across the league, I guess it's going away a little bit, but there's still a handful of guys who are, who believe they could get on base and steal 60 bags, a year. Going into 100, I mean that's a lot of bags, but I think I'm one of those guys who, consistently get playing time and steal 40 to 50 bags.
Hey, and the other thing, we were talking to Dave Magadan this morning about the situational hitting that this spring hasn't been great. Can you discuss how it's being discussed among you guys? Like, if you don't put a ball in play, does that, when you come off the field, there's a little discussion, hey, you got to do something. How much are they getting you guys' attention with that?
I think it goes unsaid. I mean, everybody knows how big of a deal it is, right? Nobody's trying to strike out in that situation or not get the runner over. Obviously it's a big play in a game. It could make or break a game. I think they're very important. And but like I said, everybody, on our team, we all understand that. We know it. We got to as a group get better at situational hitting and find a way to get the job done.
Thank you very much, Garrett.
Yeah.
All right, go to Nick Groke. Nick, go ahead.
Garrett, I think I remember you talking about, I don't know when it was last year or even the year before, about maybe drawing on Charlie's knowledge a little bit for center field, how they handle center field. Do you still have those conversations at all with him?
Yeah, Charlie's an open book. I think the younger players are starting to learn that a little more as we hang around with him. He's so focused and routine oriented, as everybody knows. That sometimes maybe a younger guy coming up doesn't feel like they want to bug him. But Charlie is he's an open book, and I think this year people are taking advantage of that, of his knowledge, and he's speaking up a lot more this year. In meetings and all that stuff. And you could learn so much from that guy. You could tell he's been there and has success for a long time in this league, and just consistent success too. You don't see him get too low or too high. It's just he's just a great player all around all the time. So I think that just shows you how much he studies the game and how much he takes pride in just being consistent.
What was that meeting like, that first meeting like, when you talked to the whole group?
It was awesome. I think a lot of it is approach and kind of what he leans on to be able to take an at bat, no matter the situation or the high stakes, the low stakes, whether it's spring training, whether it's the World Series, whatever it is. I think he's trying to push it across that you have to just stay within yourself. You're good enough. You're in the big leagues for a reason. The minute you can kind of go away from that, going away from just being yourself is when it can go haywire. And that's what he said kind of is the big thing for him. He's got to learn how to, or he's trying to teach us how to learn how to just stay within ourselves, because he obviously, is one of the best at it.
Yeah, and then, for you, when you started playing a little bit more center field, what were the things that you were curious about, or is it something that you just had to do and feel it out?
I think the outfield is you just got to have the reps. I think you got to have a ball that you got to sprint in on and call people off. And then, once you do that, it's like, oh, okay, I can do that next time. Or a ball right over your head, a line drive. I think they're just like so many different plays in the outfield that the more you just play out there, you start to feel comfortable with what happens in the game. And, I still haven't, had a few plays where I'm like, God, in practice, I haven't had that in the game, this and that. So it's just about reps, I think, out there, live game reps, and being comfortable.
Yeah, and in that way, are you able to duplicate in spring the sort of like gap shots that are sort of tweeners that you, like, maybe it's you and maybe it's Charlie or Rymel, or, especially, the dimensions of Coors Field obviously are a little bit different. Is it one of those things that you guys are just going to have to do to know, or are you at all able to lock that down?
Yeah, we're practicing. We have a couple different drills every day that, whether it's a communication drill where there'll, be two lines and there's a ball in the middle and, kind of you got to go figure out who's going to catch it. There's stuff like that where we do in practice on a daily basis, something in the outfield where we're working on all that can happen in a game.
Awesome. Thank you.
Anybody else have any other questions for Garrett? All right, I think we're good to go. Thank you, Garrett.